Imagine a world, just imagine it with me for a second, a world where genetic diseases are just a distant memory,
Okay.
where crops are engineered to thrive even in the face of climate change.
Right.
And get this, even the possibility, and I know this sounds crazy, of bringing extinct species back to life.
Wow.
That's the future CRISPR could create. At least that's what we're diving into today.
It's incredible to think about.
It really is. We're going deep into the world of CRISPR today.
Okay.
And to help us navigate this really complex landscape, we're turning to the insights of futurist Joseph Raczynski. He's got some really interesting thoughts. The goal here is to really unpack how this gene editing tool has the potential to, as crazy as it sounds, rewrite the code of life itself.
Yeah, it's like science fiction becoming reality.
It really is, like something out of a movie. Now, you've probably heard of CRISPR, but to make sure we're all on the same page, think of it as, a super precise tool for editing genes.
Okay, I get it.
Like imagine microscopic scissors that can target specific sequences within DNA.
Wow, that's precise.
It really is.
Mhm.
And Raczynski's article does a great job, I think, of capturing the vast potential of this technology.
Yeah.
And not just in healthcare, which is what we usually hear about,
Right.
but he goes into fields like agriculture and environmental conservation.
Yeah, the applications seem limitless.
They really do.
Yeah.
And the story of CRISPR itself, where it came from, it's actually pretty fascinating.
Oh, I didn't know much about that part.
It all started with a discovery, believe it or not, in the immune systems of bacteria.
Really?
Yeah, way back in the 1980s. And then, fast forward to 2012, two scientists, Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier, they make this, I don't know what else to call it, a game-changing breakthrough. They proved that CRISPR could be this incredible gene editing tool.
Right. Right.
And that brings us to one of Raczynski's boldest predictions.
Yeah.
Babies born today could live to see 125 years old.
125.
Wow. And that's thanks in part to advancements in gene editing, things like CRISPR.
I mean, it's hard to even imagine.
It really is. 125 candles on a birthday cake. It's mind-boggling. But it makes you think CRISPR could hold the key to treating, maybe even curing, diseases that we thought were untreatable.
It's incredibly exciting, but we have to be careful, right? I mean, think about He Jiankui, the scientist in China who used CRISPR to edit the genes of those twin girls.
You're talking about the attempt to make them resistant to HIV.
Exactly. He ended up in prison because he acted outside of ethical and scientific norms. His intentions, at least on the surface, seemed noble, but still.
It's true. It's a really complex issue.
It is. And it's fascinating. He's out of prison now, and he's researching a cure for Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah.
So it really highlights, like you said, the duality of CRISPR.
Yeah.
This immense hope, but also this weighty responsibility that comes with manipulating the very building blocks of life.
Exactly.
So we've talked a bit about CRISPR's potential in healthcare, but Raczynski, he doesn't stop there.
Right.
He paints this picture, this really vivid picture of how this technology could completely revolutionize agriculture.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to feeding, we talk about it all the time, a rapidly growing population.
Right, right.
Sustainability.
Exactly. Well, and that's where this idea of engineering crops for resilience comes in.
Okay.
Imagine if you could have, and this is what they're working on, fields of crops, and they're flourishing even with drought, bad soil, lack of nutrients.
Yeah.
CRISPR could be the key to that.
It's like giving our crops a genetic shield, like you said, against, whatever Mother Nature throws at them.
Exactly. And it gets even, I think, more interesting when you start to think about CRISPR in terms of environmental conservation.
Okay.
Raczynski talks about this idea of gene drives, which, again, it sounds like science fiction, but it could give us a way to control or even eliminate invasive species that are just, wreaking havoc on ecosystems.
Okay, so gene drives, for those of us, and I'm including myself here, who haven't encountered this term before, how does that work?
It's complicated but fascinating. Imagine you can edit a gene so that it's guaranteed to be passed down to every single offspring.
Okay.
Eventually, that edited gene, it spreads through the entire species.
Wow.
So they're looking at, for example, using this to fight malaria
Okay.
by making the mosquitoes that carry it, making them sterile.
So you're essentially editing the species into, well, I don't know if extinction is the right word.
Well, in that case, yeah, potentially.
It's incredible to think we could eradicate diseases, we could protect ecosystems,
Right.
all by manipulating genes on such a large scale.
Yeah, the scale is what's mind-blowing.
It is. It's huge. But Raczynski also, to his credit, acknowledges there are potential downsides.
Of course, yeah.
It's not all, sunshine and roses. This technology, he's really clear about that. It demands this, it's like this ethical tightrope walk.
Yeah, and I think one of the, I don't know about biggest, but one of the main concerns is just the potential for consequences we can't even foresee.
Right.
Like gene editing, it's not like cutting and pasting lines of code, right? This is different.
Right.
You're dealing with these intricate systems, and the tiniest change to a gene could have these, it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
An organism, an ecosystem.
So even with, and we're assuming here, good intentions, we could end up doing more harm than good.
Exactly.
It's like, what's that effect? Like a domino effect.
Yeah. It is a domino effect where you make one tweak to a gene and suddenly you've got these health issues you never could have predicted, or you've thrown a whole ecosystem out of whack.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting, but it's scary. It definitely injects a dose of reality into all the excitement, the hype that we hear around CRISPR.
For sure.
And then you got the whole other side of it.
Right.
The societal implications, who has access to this, all of that.
Well, and that's one of Raczynski's, I think, most important points is this risk that CRISPR could actually worsen inequality.
Okay.
Because if these treatments, which could be life-changing, if they're super expensive, only the wealthy will be able to afford them.
Right. So it becomes this luxury, this thing that further divides us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Something we definitely need to be talking about. Access, affordability.
Absolutely.
These have to be front and center in any conversation about where CRISPR goes from here. But I want to shift gears a little bit because Raczynski touches on some possibilities that are really out there, like, I mean, almost straight out of a science fiction movie.
Right.
Designer babies.
Yeah.
It's like, if we can edit genes to prevent diseases, who's to say we won't start using CRISPR to pick and choose, I don't know, height, eye color, intelligence.
It's the ultimate slippery slope argument in some ways.
It is.
And it brings up these really complicated questions about what does society even value and where do we draw the line between something that's therapeutic and something that's enhancement?
It's almost like we're on the verge of, I don't even know if I can say it, rewriting the human blueprint.
Yeah.
And with that, I mean, obviously come a whole host of new ethical dilemmas.
Absolutely. I mean, the potential for misuse it's a huge concern.
Right.
And Raczynski, to his credit, he doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. He even brings up the possibility, and this is where it gets really unsettling, of CRISPR being used to create essentially biological weapons.
Okay, yeah, that's a whole other level. It's kind of terrifying to think about, especially, given everything that's been going on in the world lately.
It is. And it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new technology.
Right.
But we have to remember, powerful technologies, they always have the potential for both the good and the bad.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here? We've talked about the potential benefits, the risks, the ethical concerns. How do we make sure that CRISPR is used responsibly?
Well, Raczynski really emphasizes the need for, and I think this is crucial, strong ethical frameworks and international regulations to guide not just the development of CRISPR, but how it's applied.
Yeah, that makes sense. We need some rules of the road here.
We do. And we need to make sure that everyone has access to these advancements, that it's not just, for the privileged few.
Right. Access and affordability.
Exactly. And just as important, I would say, is public education.
Okay.
We need to be having these conversations, not just in scientific journals, but in our communities and schools. Everyone should have at least a basic understanding of what CRISPR is and what it means.
Right. It's about, I like how you put that, empowering people to understand this stuff so they can have informed discussions.
Yes.
Because ultimately it's in our hands, right?
Yeah.
How CRISPR shapes the world. So to kind of bring it all together, it feels like, I don't know, what do you think? Are we standing on the edge of this whole new era
I think so.
where we can rewrite the code of life?
Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting and terrifying at the same time, don't you think?
Absolutely. It really is both. The potential is huge, but we have to proceed with caution. It's up to all of us to make sure this technology is used wisely for humanity, for the planet.
I couldn't have said it better myself. CRISPR, it's more than just a scientific breakthrough. It's like this catalyst for conversations that could shape the future of our species and the planet. That's a lot to think about, but I hope you'll keep digging deeper, keep asking questions, because this is a field that's changing rapidly, and the future is unwritten. Until next time, thanks for joining us for the Deep Dive.